Hello and welcome. Today we are going to take a look at the Addiction Tokyo Holiday Collection. So they were kind enough to send me the entire collection. Honestly, I would have purchased the entire collection either way because I absolutely love the Addiction brand. From what I've tried so far, they have recently come to the US and I have purchased just a few things from Japan prior to that launch. So I have a little bit of familiarity with their formulas. And I have to say that the holiday collection definitely does not disappoint. One of the other great things about the holiday collection here is that it's a little different from all the other holiday collections that have launched. So we've seen a lot of like neutral palettes. We always see a lot of golds and silvers and things like that. We have seen some more colorful palettes, but I feel like the Addiction Holiday Collection has really kind of, they're just different from all of the others. So even the more colorful palettes, we've seen a lot of pinks and things like that. But you can see that these eyeshadow color stories are different. We have a mix of neutrals, a mix of finishes, and, a mix of different, formulas and so forth as well. So I think it's a really great collection. Let's go ahead and go through everything that this collection consists of. Now let's take a minute to take a look at the nail polishes. There are 6 nail polishes that were released. They are limited edition shades. This is one of them. This one here is going to be number 104 SP, My Instinct, it looks like. So this is a shade here, and I'm showing you a reel here on the sides. If you don't follow me on Instagram, I post things like this on Instagram. I'm at Alexis Jong. And this is showing you all of the other shades, and you can see looking at them that we do have a variety of different finishes. Now, what I want to show you here is this is 3 days worth of wear, like 3 full days of wear and part of today so far, of the green with no base coat and no top coat. So you can see it actually holds up really well. If you do use a base and a top coat, you can definitely get really good wear time with these polishes. Now let's just take a quick look at all of the 6 shades. So let me start with the packaging for these. You see we do have kind of more of a square type, and we have a wide brush on here. And I personally really like those. This one here is 103 SP, and you can see this is going to be a really nice orange. This is going to be a more pigmented shade, so I would recommend 1 to 2 coats. If you just use one, you do have a little bit of sheerness, but it is a more pigmented shade. Then we have 104 SP, which again is the one that I'm wearing. And you can see that this one is going to be a little bit more sheer than the orange. And just a quick correction here. The orange one is 103P, Fiery Sky. So the P is for pearl. And then we have the green one here, which is 104 SP, which stands for Sparkle. And that's My Instinct. Next up, we have 104P, which is Flat Circle. This is such a beautiful kind of, pearly taupe. I really like this shade. And again, the P formulas, the pearl formulas, are going to be a bit more pigmented. So this one's going to be more pigmented like the orange one here. Now, in our sparkle formulas, some of them are more sheer than others. The next shade, though, that we have is another pearl. So this is 106P Real Surreal. And this is, kind of like an antique gold. And I would say that this one here is not as pigmented as the other ones. So this one can definitely go more sheer than the orange or the taupe. And you can see it's really more of a true antique gold. Then we have 107 SP, and this is called Inner Universe. And I think this is such a beautiful shade. It is kind of your soft blue gray. It actually just reminds me of, dusk. So you can see you've got some sparkle in there. This is definitely going to be a more sheer shade. You could use this on top of one of the other ones or on its own. And then we have 108 SP, which this is the one that, really drew me in. Their promo photos, you can see sort of when the light hits it, you see pink and a little blue and purple kind of in there. I don't notice that as much on the on the nails, but you can see that there is a little bit of shimmer in there. This is 108 SP or Sparkle Pink Horizon. So these are the 6 nail polish colors. These are limited edition shades. I have to say, I think they're really beautiful. Now, if you're looking at the finishes here, you can see that the green, the blue, and the pink, which are your sparkle formulas, definitely have some sparkle in there. There is some shimmer or glitter in those polishes. When you put them on your nails, it still remains smooth, so you don't feel any grittiness. And then the pearl formulas are more of a soft metallic. So we have the orange, the taupe, and the antique gold. Now, just a few quick details. I'll run the reel one more time so you can see those colors again. But these retail for $19 US each. And I would say that they dry fairly quickly. You can put them on, I like to do 2 coats. So 1 sheer layer, and then I add a 2nd coat of color. And they're soft, like you could still dent them, but after 5 minutes or so, I am actually able to use my hands again. So it's pretty quick drying, but not so fast that, it's drying while you're applying it and it gets streaky. And I would say that they're fairly long lasting. I do have a little bit of, tip wear and so forth, but this is, again, 3 days with no top coat, no base coat, and doing a ton of dishes and cleaning and opening boxes. So, I've been kind of rough on my hands, but they do, if you use a top coat and a base coat, I would say you can get 1 to 2 weeks of wear, without any issues. Depending on how much you use your hands. I'm very rough on my nails. So let's go ahead and move on to some other products. Let's start off with the eyeshadow palettes. So this one here is the palette 101. And we're going to start off by swatching these. And we do have some different finishes. You can see this first shade here is going to be more sheer, sparkly topper type. However, it does still have some pigment to it, so you could use this one on your own for a very light look. Then we have this metallic rosy pink. I think this is a really great shade, and it goes very nicely with the Pink Horizon nail polish. Next up, we have this taupe shade, and I love this shade. It's a nice soft taupe. It runs a little warm, just meaning that it has a little bit more brown in it than gray. But it's a really beautiful shade. So this pink one does have a little bit of shimmer. The taupe, though, is really more of a true satin shade. Then this blue one here, I was actually hoping this was going to be more a pigmented shade, but this is going to be a sheer, more of a topper style like the first shade. So you can see that's very light. And this one you can layer on the other colors and you get almost more of like a duochrome effect. Next, we have a matte medium brown. And I like this brown. You've got a little bit of red in there. And then our last shade here is a gold shimmer shade. And this one is not going to be as sheer as the first one and the third shade, but it is not super pigmented either. So I would say it's not a topper, but it is going to be more of a sheer lid shade. So this is palette number 101. So this one here is 102. This one is on my eyes. This one's actually my favorite. I love this palette. So we start off with kind of a sheer topper shade. You can see that in comparison, the one in 101 is just a little bit, it's a little bit peachier. This is going to be a little bit more champagne. Then we have this green shade. And again, this green goes very nicely with the nails. I really like this green. You can see that it is going to be a shimmery satin shade. Next, we have a matte. This is going to be more of a rosy brown. So it's got a little bit of a rosiness to it. Then we have an orange. This is going to be a satin metallic. And next up, we have another brown. This is going to be a satin. You can see we've got a little bit of red in here as well, but this is actually going to be a little bit more orangey than that in the 101. And then our last shade here is the purple. I love this purple. It does have some blue in it. But it's got a pretty good balance of pink and blue. And you can see that it definitely has some pigment to it. So when I first saw it, I was thinking it might be kind of like the blue in this palette and be more of a sheer topper, but it's not. And I think it's really gorgeous. You can actually mix this on top of the other shades. It's sheer enough that you can get a little bit of that duochrome effect doing that. So before we move on to the eye swatches and demos, let's take a look at the 3 liquid eyeshadows. So these are going to be the sparkle eyeshadows. You can use these as toppers. You can use them on their own. You know, we're going to put these vertically right up here. So this first shade here is going to be number 104, Euphoria Mood. And you can see that this one is going to be more pigmented. You have metallic pink with a little bit of shimmer, and there's a little bit of blue sparkle in there. I think it's a really pretty shade. You do have a touch of purple, but it's definitely going to run to be a little bit more of one of those warmer, pinker purples. Then our next shade up, this is going to be 105 Multiworld. Look at this in here. You can see it's kind of like this coppery orange shade, but then you have pink and green and gold in there. And this one is definitely going to be more of, it's less opaque. You can see this one goes on very sheerly. And I think this is an absolutely gorgeous color. I love this. You can add this as a topper to the powder eyeshadows and get a little bit more of, you know, just multicolored sparkle. And then this one here is 106 Be Icy. By the way, I do have the 105 on top of the eyeshadow in today's look as well. So this, I love this. I mean, it's a cool toned lavender. You know, just like it says, Be Icy, it's definitely got an icy shimmer. This one looks great on top of other colors as well, but you kind of have that like icy lavender with a touch of pink. And most of the sparkle in here is pink, but you get a little bit of a blue duochrome effect in the actual liquid. So I think these are really gorgeous. I have to say that these two are my favorite, 105 and 106. Really stunning. They can be used on their own or separately. And just one more thing to swatch before we move on to the eye swatches and demos. There are 3 color mascaras. So this first one here is 101 Alluring Purple. And you can see we have a curved wand. And we'll put these right here. You can see it's a nice rich purple. I think this is a gorgeous shade. I absolutely love this mascara. So I haven't experienced any issues with flaking or smudging with it. They are still new though, so we'll see as it dries out more. And then we have 102 Sea of Sage. And I would have to say I've been wearing this one probably the most, the green. I think it is just a beautiful, kind of a medium forest green. And I really like it. And of course you can mix and match these mascaras, do like full lashes with one, tips with another, and so forth. You know, upper versus lower. This third shade here is 103 Stream of Copper. This is a really nice twist on an everyday mascara because it's kind of like a brown mascara, but a little bit more orange. Yet it's still like light and natural looking. So it's not really out there per se. Now, as we're looking at the eye swatches and demos, you'll see these mascaras in action. And you can see that the mascaras themselves are going to be, you know, they're definitely changing the color of your lashes, but they're not in your face. They can definitely be used more subtly. You can go in with additional layers to get more color and so forth. And I think they're a really nice formula. Now, while we're looking at the demos and swatches, I'm going to talk a little bit about the collection overall, as well as the palettes in particular. So this collection is called the Unknown Familiar Collection. And this was done in collaboration with the photographer Elisaveta Porcina. And, you know, if you're not familiar with her work, she does a lot of fashion and fine art photography. Kanako Takase is the creative director for Addiction Tokyo. And when their whole team was coming up with what to do for holiday 2023, they thought of working with Elisaveta Porcina because of her dreamscape photography. And that really kind of inspired the original idea of this collection, The Unknown Familiar. And as they were working together, it really turned into a way to dive into the experience of deja vu. So that's kind of what this collection is supposed to be about. You know, you kind of have like, you see something and you remember it a little bit, like it's a long buried memory. And you're trying to remember exactly what it's from. So there are some similarities, there are some new things and so forth. And according to Elizaveta, it's like a long buried memory, a recollection of an almost forgotten dream, seeing the world through a melancholic veil of tears. And that's what this collection is supposed to be about. And I have to say, I think it's a really gorgeous collection, and it's really unique for holiday. It's very different from what we've seen. According to Addiction Tokyo, this collection goes beyond the traditional into something unknowable yet familiar, something that ignites real emotions with a dreamlike hypnotic sense. The vivid colors, the flashes of movements, which we see on the photography on the packaging, the eyes, the lips, the cheek moving images that are so visceral you can't look away. So this whole collection, that's what it's supposed to evoke. And I have to say, I think it was really effective with that. You definitely see some traditional colors, but you see some little nuances with that. And the photography really goes well with that. You can see, the different palettes do have different images on the tops of them. So we'll take a look at those when we're going through again. But as you're looking at these swatches and so forth, let's talk a little bit about the palettes themselves. So both palettes are limited edition. They retail for $62 US. We have 6 shades in each. And again, we have subtle to bold colors. So we've got a range of finishes. There are mattes, satins, shimmers, and so forth. So the palette 101 is called Look Closer. And that is described as a surreal spectrum of sophisticated hues, including blue, brown, and gold in sparkle, pearl, and matte finishes. And the 102, which is my personal favorite, that one's called Undream. And it's described as a bold blend of festive colors, including green, orange, and copper in sparkle, pearl, and matte finishes. And I have to say, I think these are gorgeous palettes. What I really love about this, and what we've seen from other holiday collections, a lot of holiday collections really rely on sparkle, which I love. I love sparkle. But these palettes still kept in some matte shades to make them completely wearable. You have, a range of pigmentation levels as well to make these palettes go beyond holiday and work throughout the year. So you can go for something very subtle or something more bold. You have a lot of versatility with these palettes. So these palettes have 6.5 grams of product, and they are made in Japan. And I have to say, I think these are a fantastic item. I absolutely love the colors here. So as you're looking at the different demos and so forth, you can see that these really blend very well. The formulas themselves, the toppers, they feel like your traditional topper formula. They feel a little thin. You can feel a little bit of the sparkle. And I have to say, with some of those, if you layer a lot of the sparkle, you will get some sparkle under the eye and so forth, but it's not terrible. The satins and the satin shimmers, those I absolutely love. They're smooth, they're easy to use, they're very versatile, they're sheer, but you can build them up to become more opaque. And the mattes are very smooth as well. The metallics are a little bit creamier. They're probably your creamiest formula in here. And I have to say, all of the different formulas, they perform well, they blend well with each other, and they do last all day on me. I do use a primer. I've been using the Suku or the Viseart primer with these. Now, just a little bit about the liquid eyeshadows. These are the Liquid Eyeshadow Ultra Sparkle. And if you're familiar with Addiction Tokyo or you've heard of them before, this is one of their cult classic products. People love these Ultra Sparkle eyeshadows. They retail for $24 US each. And again, the 3 shades here are limited edition. These are essentially supposed to be, according to Addiction, a dazzling stardust sparkle. They're long lasting, pigmented color with easy apply tip. And I would have to say again, the shade 105 and 106, those are going to be more sheer. You get a lot of multicolor sparkle. You get a hint of color from the base. You can use them on their own. I would do a couple of light layers. And the one that's really more pigmented is the 104 Euphoria Mood, which is the burgundy with blue, pink, and silver pearls. I think they're all gorgeous shades. I think using the liquids on their own, looks really nice with a nice colored eyeliner and so forth. You get kind of just a light look there, and I really like it that way. But these are also great topped on top of the powder eyeshadow. and they really can last all day. When I wore the liquid eyeshadows on their own, you could see that, by the end of the day, a little bit of wear, perhaps even a little bit of shimmer that fell under the eye, but nothing major in my opinion. And you could see one side had primer, one side did not. And so using a primer, honestly, it didn't make a huge difference, but it does help a little bit. Now, if you put these on top of the powder eyeshadow though, I don't experience any creasing because again, what's really in contact with my eyes there would be the powder, and the powder doesn't crease. So using this more as a topper, I don't have any issues whatsoever with the liquid. And I think they're really beautiful colors. I love how you can get kind of a little bit more of a multi-chrome effect using these on top of an eyeshadow. So I think those are really nice, and I think the 105 and 106 are really special shades. Moving on to the mascaras, these are the Mascara Intense Lashes. So these 3 shades are limited edition for the collection. I have to say I really do like all 3 of the shades, but the purple and the green are definitely my favorite. According to Addiction Tokyo, this is a limited edition mascara with a semi-metallic finish that creates a shiny, moody eye look. The buildable, long-lasting formula adds volume and does not clump. Moisturizes, protects, and repairs delicate eyelashes. It's water, sweat, and oil resistant for budge-proof wear and lasting curl, yet gentle to remove with warm water. The mascara retails for $28 US each. And I have to say, I really like them. Now for removal, they do remove easily. I typically use either a cleansing balm or an oil-based remover. And, these really do stay put well. So what I would recommend doing is I put, whatever remover of choice I'm using on my lashes. And then I take a warm, wet washcloth and I just kind of leave that on my face for a few seconds to let the heat kind of activate and help remove that. And so then I wipe it away and it comes off with no issue. So I have to say though, I really like the colors. The copper is the one that I like the least. However, to say I still love it for like an everyday natural look. And I really like kind of pairing the copper with the green. And typically I do like the green full lashes and then copper tips, but vice versa is also a really nice combination. So I think they're great. And overall, with all of these eye products, I have to say I'm really loving everything they've included in this collection. If I had to narrow it down to my favorites, my personal favorites would be the 102 eyeshadow palette, because I love not only the color story, I love having the mix of, the cooler purple, the warmer oranges, and so forth, having those mix of tones. But I also love the finishes on these, and I love how we do still have a sparkly topper in the first shade in the palette, but yet the other shades are definitely more buildable, more pigmented. So I feel like they're a little bit more versatile. Whereas the 101 palette having 2 shades are definitely more toppers, and the third one kind of being a slightly more pigmented topper. I feel like that palette just isn't as versatile formula-wise as the 102. However, I have to say they're both great palettes, and depending on what color story you like, they go very well with, different products from this line. As for the liquid eyeshadows, I would have to say that my favorite is definitely going to be that orangey one with the green and the purple and so forth. I think it's the 105 Multiworld. I think it's just such a really beautiful shade. You can use it surely as a topper and get a little bit of a multi-sparkle effect, but it's also beautiful on its own, and layering that up, I love the different colors in there. My next favorite is definitely going to be that lavender shade, the Be Icy 106. Absolutely gorgeous. I love pairing that on the 101 palette to kind of cool off some of those warmer tone pinks. But I also really love it paired over the lavender in the 102 eyeshadow palette. And as for the mascaras, I have to say I really love all of the colors, but purple and green mascaras are ones that I'm always drawn to. This green, I would have to say, would be my number one, just because it's a little different from other green mascaras that I've had. I've had some that are more of like a teal green, more of a deeper forest and so forth, or even some that are a little bit brighter, more olivey. And this one's sort of kind of a medium forest green, so it's a little bit different of a hue, whereas the purple is a little bit more reminiscent of shades I've used in the past, but I have to say it's always been a favorite. So those would definitely be my top 2 mascaras. So I hope that information was helpful. Let's take a look at these swatches one more time. These are our liquids, and we've got 104, 105, and 106. And then we have palette number 1, palette number 102, 101 and 102. And then our mascaras here in 101, 102, and 103. So I did want to take a second and compare the Hermes mascara in number 6, Violet Indigo. This has become a favorite. I've really been enjoying this a lot. So I wanted to show you how similar the purple shades are. You can see that the Hermes is ever so slightly brighter in purple, but they're super close. The Addiction is definitely a more affordable option than the Hermes. Now there is a difference in the wands, so let me show you those. Okay, so you can see that Hermes has kind of a longer, skinnier wand, whereas we have a curved, more volumizing wand with the Addiction Tokyo. So, that might, you might have a particular preference for those as well. Formula-wise, I think they are both fantastic on the eyes. I haven't had issues with either of them. And I do think they're both great shades. So I think they are very close. Now, I just wanted to do a couple more mascara comparisons. These are from Suku that were limited edition a couple collections ago. So we're going to start off with 106. We're going to compare these to the 103 Copper. You can see that the 106 is kind of like a soft beige. So definitely doesn't quite go with that. And then we have the 107, which is a bit more burgundy. So I just wanted to kind of show those. Those are some of the color mascaras that I have on hand at the moment. So yeah, overall, those aren't dupes. But I do think the Hermes and the Addiction purples are very close. Now, before we move on to the blush palettes, I just want to show you the outer packaging for these. So this is the 101 palette. So it's this color story here. And again, you can really see the movement, the blur of colors, the flash as something's moving by. And then this one here is 102. And yeah, I think they're gorgeous. So you can see that you do have similar shades inside the palettes. So easy, I like having something a little different on each palette so you can kind of distinguish them in your drawer. Let's go ahead and move on to the blush palettes though. And we have a 101 and a 102 for these as well. So here's 101 and this one is 102. 101 is going to give you your cooler, rosier tones, whereas we have our warmer, peachier apricot tones in 102. And again, you can see our packaging. They do, kind of go together. So this is the 101 eyeshadow and the 101 blush. And then we have the 102 eyeshadow and 102 blush. So I'm going to swatch these on my other arm. And we have, kind of a sparkling shade here that you can use on its own or as a highlighter. This is like one of the nuancer shades. And then we have a matte blush. And you can see that our sparkly shade is kind of a soft pearly pink. It's not as cool as, I feel like it looks a little cooler here in the pan than it does on the skin. There is a little bit of warmth there. Then we have kind of this, I wouldn't say a dusty rose. I'd say more of a rusty rose. And then we have this contour shade here. And this is palette 101. Let me get a little bit more there. And you can see that this is going to be a soft brown. You can use this for, it's really more of a bronzer shade. It's not gray enough truly for a true contour, but yeah, it's not exactly a bronzer for most people either. It works as a bronzer for me. So this is the 101 palette. And I'm just going to go ahead and put these on my skin just kind of as some buffed out circles here so you can kind of see how they look kind of smeared onto the skin. So those are the shades in the 101 palette. And you can see that they are sheer yet buildable shades. The matte blush really can, it can become pretty pigmented. And then in the 102 palette, we're looking at your warmer tones. So our first shade here is kind of a shimmery orangey copper shade. And it's pretty pigmented. Again, you could use it as a highlight. You could mix it with the matte blush here, which is more of an apricot shade, almost like a brighter pumpkin, almost persimmon. And then the contour or bronzer shade here is going to be kind of a warmer brown. So we have a touch of orange in there as well. It's kind of a coppery brown. Let me go ahead and do some circles here, some buffed out versions. So that is our light nuancer shade. Here is the blush. I love that shade, and mixing those together is really beautiful. And then here is the bronzer. And you can see the difference that this is definitely going to be warmer than that in the 101 palette. So these are the 6 shades in the collection. Let's go ahead and take a look at the cheek swatches and demos for these. You can see I used a variety of different brushes and applications, so you can really see how these perform. So the blush palettes, according to Addiction Tokyo, these are 2 dramatic limited edition blush palettes. They allow you to layer 3 textures. So we have the one nuance shade, which is our highlighter shade, the first one in the palette. We have a pearl and a matte. And they create a sense of light and contour on the cheeks. The outer box and compact image are designed exclusively by Addiction Tokyo and Elisabetta Porredina. So the first palette, 101, Never Ending, is a radiance boosting blend of pinks and neutrals. I think it is a really beautiful palette. This is the one that works best on my skin. The first shade is definitely going to be your nuance shade. It has some sparkle, has some shimmer. The matte shade in the middle, you know, it's really more of a satin matte, so that's probably going to be your pearl finish, but it doesn't have a strong pearl finish. I only have a few of the Addiction Tokyo blushes so far, and this one's definitely not as pearly as others that I have, but the bronzer shade is definitely going to be more matte than that. But you can see you do have a little bit of a satin finish with that one. It is pretty strongly pigmented. You can put it on lightly or build that up. So I do think that that's going to work for a variety of skin tones there. The nuancer shade can definitely work for a variety of skin tones depending on your application. And the lighter brown, you know, depending on how you use that, if you have a deeper complexion, honestly, this won't show up as bronzer or contour, but you can definitely mix it with the pink shade in the middle, the rosy shade there, or even the nuance shade to kind of make it a little bit more nude or more neutral. So I think they work really well together. So the palette itself can work on a variety of skin tones, but again, that last shade on its own won't necessarily work on all skin tones. It does, however, make a really beautiful eyeshadow shade as well. Looking at the 102 palette, this one is called No Way Out. And this is described as having 3 glow-getting shades of peach and beige. And again, you know, our first shade here is going to be our nuance shade, and this is going to be a shimmery copper shade. Now, both the pink one from 101 and this one here, both have plenty of shimmer. The 101 nuance shade is pretty much a straight up pink with shimmer, whereas this one here is gonna have like, it's got that coppery tone, but it's got some golden shimmer and some peachy tones in there as well. So it's actually a little bit more multi-chromatic. You can see some nuances of shade in that versus the nuance shade in 101. So you can just pick up a little bit more color, and when the light hits it a certain way, you get a slightly different vibe from it. So I think it's a really beautiful shade. And, you know, for me, I like mixing it with the peachy blush in the middle, which is going to be a pearl finish. You definitely have a satin finish on that. And I think it's a really beautiful shade. The nuance shade, however, though, I think is also great on the eyes too. So actually any of them can work on the eyes, but for me personally, I love that nuance shade on the eyes. It's such a beautiful color. And then our bronzer shade on here, it is going to be a warmer tone peachy brown. Again, this one is I wouldn't say it's deeper, but the tones are a little different. So on deeper skin tones, again, this shade won't show up as much, but it can definitely be used well as a mixer or an eyeshadow. So overall, I think both of the palettes are fantastic. The formulas themselves are really smooth and easy to use. They blend out nicely. If you're familiar with Surratt or Suku formulas, these are similar. So they have more of a similar texture to them. It's kind of that soft slurry formula type. And, you know, they're just so easy to, get a variety of pigmentation levels with this. Sometimes you have a blush where you have to be super careful to get a light layer, and others you have to, really layer it on a lot in order to get, enough color. This has kind of that perfect medium, and it makes it really easy to use. The formulas are kind of a creamy powder formula, so you're not really getting much kick up or dust up from there, yet they blend out very nicely and they don't get patchy like some more creamy formulas can. So I feel like, honestly, these are one of the best blush formulas on the market. If you haven't tried Addiction blushes, whether you're interested in these particular color stories or not, definitely check out their blushes. I think they are fantastic. If you're familiar with Suku blushes, these remind me more so of the melting powder blushes that have been discontinued by Suku. So I think they're a fantastic formula, definitely worth checking out. All right, so just before we move on, I just want to swatch a few comparisons. This is the Suku Melting Powder Blush in 104. So let me go ahead and put that one right here so you can see the color comparison there. And this was a limited edition shade from Suku. This one here is number 6. So this is going to be a brighter orange, but this is one of the permanent Suku shades. You can see that it definitely has a brighter vibe, almost like you don't really see pink in there, but you almost see a little bit of like a bright coral in there. And then we also have 4. And this is definitely going to be a bit more nude. But I did want to compare that because it's almost like mixing a little bit of, mixing a little bit of these shades together. So it's a little bit rosier, but it does remind me of a mix of kind of the 3 of these together. Now for the 101, this is the number 7 shade. This is definitely going to be deeper, more burgundy. You can see it's got more red in it. And then we have the limited edition shade in 103 from Suku. And this is, again, going to be a bit more pink. But those are going to be my closest matches in the Suku Melting Powder formula. Now for Surratt, this is Cantaloupe. And I want to see how this one compares. You can see, that's definitely a much more pumpkin orange, bright orange. Peau de Pêche is a little bit more coral. Let me go ahead and put this one. Well, let's squeeze it in right here. Yeah, it's got too much pink. And this is Flamme. This is a sparkling shade. So it's not going to quite match any of these, but it's almost like it's like a brighter version of mixing the nuance shade with the blush there. This is Surratt Cherubique. This is also going to be a sparkling shade. I wanted to compare that with the blush. You can see this is going to be a little bit lighter, but that is going to be a pretty close comparison. And then La Vie en Rose, this one is going to be more of a satin matte. I wanted to see how this one compares. And you can see it's a little bit more plummy, but it is also going to be similar. So those are some comparisons to the blushes. Now this here is La Rose du Soir, which is a kind of like a rosy nude. So I wanted to compare that to this shade here. You can see the Surratt is definitely more pink. And just a couple more comparisons. This is Grisaille. This is a great contour shade for me. So I wanted to go ahead and put that right there next to the one with 101. You can see how much more gray the Surratt is. And there's actually a little bit of purpley vibe to it as well. So I wanted to share that one. And then we have Chaleur, which is definitely going to be a warmer shade. A lot of people like this one as a bronzer. And this was kind of before Ciroc came out with their own bronzers. But I went to compare that to the 102. You can see it's going to be a bit deeper and it has more red in it, a little bit more of a reddish orange. All right, so let's move on to the lip trios. So there are 2 mini lip trios that each have 3 shades in there. So let's go ahead. We're going to swatch these and we'll talk about them as we're looking at the lip swatches. So these are going to be the shades in the 101. So this is kind of our sheer sparkly shade, and this one here is going to be Sugar Magenta. So that is shade number 103. This one here is going to be a matte lip liquid bold, and this is 111S Rusty Rose. Now honestly, this is called the bold, but it's 111S, so I feel like this is sheer and they're just kind of mislabeled, because this one here is going to be number this is 112 Cardinal Red, which is described as the matte lip liquid sheer. And this is definitely going to be, in my opinion, a bit more bold. So I have to say, this is the lip trio. I use this Rusty Rose shade a lot. I think I've worn it like every other day since it arrived. It works great underneath or mixed with the other shades, but I also love it on its own, and you can really sheer it out a little bit to get kind of that, you know, like that blurred lip effect. So these are the 3 in the 101 palette. The 102 trio, we have a light apricot sparkly topper shade, or sparkly gloss. So this is 104 Apricot Dream. Really beautiful. Right now I'm wearing the Rusty Rose from the 101 topped with this. And then we have the 113S Dusty Ginger. And this one here is going to be more of an orangey brown shade here. So you can see there's definitely a little bit more brown in there. And then our last shade here is 114 Scarlet Petal. And this one here, it's like red mixed with peach. So it's definitely, it's not really an orangey red because it's more of a peach. So it's a little bit softer. And yeah, this is going to be 102 trio and 101 trio. Let's take a look at the lip swatches while we talk about these. So the Unknown Familiar mini lip trios retail for $38 US. You get a matte lipstick sheer, and a lip oil mini. And the colors range from pinks, reds, and corals. Now, the lip oils on their own, if you were to purchase a full size, they retail for $26 US. There are 4 shades, and I don't have any of those yet, but there is a shade called You'll Be, which looks like it's probably similar to the Sugar Magenta 103. So that's the sparkling shade in the 101 trio. Now, these lip oils are described as a plumping lip oil gloss for maximum shine and 0 stickiness. This lush formula is packed with plant-based oils, butters, and manuka honey for smooth, supple lips. The gel-like texture adheres to the lips for lasting softness. And I have to say, these are really comfortable lip oil. They feel more like a lip gloss, but they are not sticky at all. And, you know, wear time on that is going to be similar to, you know, an average gloss. So overall, I have to say I really like them on their own. They add a little bit of color, but they are fantastic as toppers as well. And that's how I've been using them for the most part. Now, we also have the matte lip liquids. And again, they're described as bold or sheer. These retail for $27 US for a full size. So again, the trio of minis is $38 US. I feel like that's a great way to try out the formulas and try out some shades, because I mean, I don't know about you guys, but even before I started YouTube, finishing up an entire lipstick or lip gloss, that didn't happen that often. So I love mini sizes for that reason. So These are described as being a weightless matte lip color for all day wear. You've never experienced a long wear lip like this before. The ultra comfortable liquid formula applies smoothly thanks to a blend of natural oils and butters, then dries to a flexible matte finish with no caking or transferring. And I have to say, I think that these are a really fantastic, liquid lip formula. Now, although some of these are described as bold and some of them are described as sheer, I do feel like you can get that soft, matte, blurred lip look with either of the formulas. And honestly, they feel the same on the lips. I think they are a really nice formula. If you've been looking for a liquid lipstick to give you a blurred effect on your lips, and be there, but you don't feel it. You don't feel any dryness. You don't smell like a ton of alcohol opening it. That's what these are like. Honestly, they're very comfortable on their lips. You can top them with the gloss like I did today, or leave them on their own. And I think they're just a really great formula. I definitely plan on getting more of these liquid lipsticks because they're just really comfortable. They feel completely weightless on the lips. They don't have any weird smells or fragrances. So when I smell each of these lip products, actually the lip oils, I do smell a very soft, fruity fragrance to it. It's definitely nothing strong. It's not something I notice when putting it on, but if I do wave the wand under my nose, I can smell something very soft and light. Looking at the ingredients, it does appear that those do have fragrance added to them. However, the liquid mattes, those I don't see fragrance listed in the ingredients for any of the ones here. And I don't smell anything at all. Like I smell absolutely nothing. So, sometimes even if something's fragrance free, you can still smell some of the other ingredients. I don't smell anything with these. All of the products from this entire collection are made in Japan. I have to say, I'm really incredibly impressed with Addiction Tokyo's formulas. I think they have a really reasonable price point as well. And honestly, I think they're doing a lot better than many of the other brands that we usually see on my channel. Things like Tom Ford and Chanel and so forth. They've had a lot of hits and misses, Dior and so forth. I feel like Addiction Tokyo is a very solidly performing brand. They've got a lot of great innovation. You've got a lot of light shades, but you also have some more bolder pigmented shades as well. And, they're doing such a great job of, just putting out a wide variety of products with innovation, yet still being high quality. And that's what I really love and appreciate about this brand. So they are rapidly becoming one of my very favorite makeup brands. And I cannot wait to see more from them. So overall, I think this holiday collection was definitely a win. If you had to pick one thing from this collection, my personal favorite is the 102 eyeshadow palette. And after that, I've got a ton of other favorites, but that's definitely my number one favorite there. And I hope this was helpful to kind of give you an idea of what their formulas are like and the colors from here, just to see everything all over again. We've got the liquid eyeshadows here, and I think these are gorgeous as toppers. Then we have the 101 palette going from here up through this gold shade. And then the 102 eyeshadow palette, my personal favorite. And then these three are the mascaras in the collection. I think they are really great. I love color mascaras, yet these are also not so bright that it's like, what is that? They're a little bit more nuanced, which I really love. We've got our mini lip trios. So mini lip trio number 101 and 102. And then we have our blush palettes. So this is the 101 blush palette and the 102 blush palette. And I think everything in this collection, honestly, has just been so well thought out. The artwork goes so nicely with the color stories, and I feel like it really sends a nice message, and it's something different, yet still something that, you know, you can see and think of holiday depending on how you apply it, but it's still something wearable for every day throughout the year. And I think that's what a holiday collection should be. You don't want to just buy makeup that you can only wear for special occasions. You know, you want to be able to have some versatility there so you really get your money's worth out of it. So I think this is a fantastic holiday collection, and you know, I can't wait to see it. Let me know if you've tried any of these products, what your thoughts are, and let me know if you've tried Addiction, if you have any recommendations. I've already placed, I have a large order that I haven't gone through yet, but I definitely plan on picking up some more items from them soon. So thank you so much for watching this. I hope this was helpful, and please do share your thoughts down below in the comments. And thank you again to Addiction Tokyo for sending me this collection. I am absolutely impressed with this collection. Really, you know, I think it's a really special collection. So thank you so much, and I hope you have a wonderful day. I'll see you very soon.